About this process, and when I've talked to different candidates at different times and throughout my career, I've always said that when you're getting ready to get into something, I'm going to use a very crude statement here, forgive me for some of you, but I always say, if you're looking at a business, plan the divorce before the wedding. Why would I say that? It seems kind of weird, right?
Yeah, why would you say that?
Why would you say that? So, why I say that is because, guys, a business is exactly that. You're building a business, and this might be a 5-year venture, it might be a 10-year venture, it might be a 25-year venture, but at some point, you are building a database, an asset that you can sell. Okay? So as you're building that asset, you want to be thinking about what is the next phase in my life. So you're in the day-to-day grind, you're doing it, you're making things happen, right? But at some point in the future, you're going to want to move down to Florida where I'm at, drinking your colada on the beach with me, right? That happens. And the reason I say that is because our next speaker is my good friend Carter. Joe is part of, obviously, Pearce Bespoke. He is relatively new to this space, but guys, the great news is he is not new to franchising. He has built and sold multiple different businesses. So I'm going to bring Joe up here. I'm going to steal Andy's thunder, but please welcome Joe Carter, our friend here at Pearce Bespoke.
What's up, y'all? Alright, it may not look like it, but I am a tad older in the generation, so I did bring notes because I have a tendency to forget stuff. But shout out to Miles for giving me the opportunity and introducing me here. So, again, my name is Joe Carter. I've been in business for almost 30 years, just shy of 20 years that I've been in the franchising space. I was thinking about it earlier, it's almost to the date, 3 or 4 days out. 17 years ago, I was in a room exceptionally similar to this, with a couple of exceptions. One was a Holiday Inn Express meeting room that had no water and electricity went out halfway through. But there was roughly 27 franchisees in the room, myself included. My very first franchise business that I had. Fast forward 9 years later, there was 614 franchisees and nearly 1,700 locations. So I've seen what this room looks like and what this room will look like. Because I am very confident that this brand is going to follow an exceptionally similar trajectory as ours. So I want to share that experience, not because I know everything. I don't know everything. I learn new stuff every single day. But here's what I can say. I remember that room. I remember somebody that came up and had a very similar speech, who had been doing what I was trying to do for many years. And I listened up, not because he knew everything, but because he had learned some stuff the hard way. And he passed on that knowledge to me. And I believe in paying it forward. So I'm going to pass on some of that knowledge to you. So 17 years ago, I started my first franchise. My partner and I, we were the system. Quite literally did everything. We hired people, we onboarded people, we created the Go High Level version of our system. We did payroll, we built the damn store. Like, there was no construction team. We quite literally built the store. We did all of the repairs. It was an electronics repair facility. We did repairs right next to our technicians. We did everything because the franchisor gave us nothing at that point. They just gave us the name. That was it. So we were the system. We had to create the system ourselves. And as I went through time, what I learned the hard way, unfortunately, is 7 years into that venture, my first territory we sold. We sold it for 7 times EBITDA. Who knows what EBITDA stands for? Somebody shout it out. Earnings before taxes, interest, depreciation, and amortization. What does that mean in layman's terms?
Cash flow.
Cash flow, sort of. Yes.
Profit.
Profit, to a degree, that's absolutely correct. Business value is the easiest way If someone's going to buy it, they're going to likely buy it off of your EBITDA, not off your profit. So 7 times EBITDA means that buyer paid me 7 years worth of my EBITDA in a check at closing. That was more than double the industry average at the time. I remember doing press releases, getting interviewed on the news. Everybody's congratulating me. I'm like, yes, I won. Mike. Here's what happened. Literally 3 months later, that buyer flipped it for 13.7, almost double. It's the exact same revenue, they didn't increase anything. So my freaking customers, they didn't get any new customers. Literally the same team that I had developed for 7 years. They didn't hire anybody else. So what changed? Anybody want to guess? They took the stuff that lived in my head, because I'd done it for 7 years, and just instinctually did it, and put it into processes and playbooks. And the next buyer bought it because of that. That's dope. Yeah, 9 years. Move a clicker. Push down.
You're right.
I think you're right. Actually, that's perfect. So, here's a question. Who bought me the Pearce Bespoke to make money? Okay, for those of you not raising your hand, see me after, because you didn't buy him to make money, and I'm not real sure why you're here. Well, let's try something else. Who bought in, to Nathan's point earlier, to build an asset that you at least potentially could sell off one day? You don't have to, but you might want to. Alright? Final question. Who bought in to be free?
Oh man.
4 people. 4 people bought in to be free. Here's what I determined through that process. Those are not the same thing. Making money doesn't mean you're building an asset. Building an asset doesn't mean you're going to be free. Those are separate things that require separate conversations and ultimately systems. I'm going to steal to a degree the last presentation. Go high level is a system. If you put stuff in it, you get an output with very little effort other than the initial setup. Business is the exact same way. Since then, I bought into another tip for that same franchise model. We sold that one for 14 times EBITDA, 6 months after I bought it. I then decided my hand in non-franchise. It's like, I don't want to pay a franchise fee. Because I built the damn company myself. Let me try it out by myself. Different company, different industry. That company in about 3.5 years became what's called a platform company. Anybody ever heard of that term, platform company? A platform company is what private equity buys as they're launching quick into an industry. Myself and my investment group, we sold it for 17.7 times EBITDA, 17.5 years to $252 million. I got to stay on with that private equity firm and did due diligence for them for about 4 years. Over 400 deals across 7 verticals totaling $14 billion in acquisitions that firm did. I don't have $14 billion for right data, right? But I helped them to determine which businesses were worth spending money on, were worth passing on. So I took all of that and I applied it to every business I've ever done. Pearce Bespoke was literally my one and only choice. For multiple reasons. One is my wife and back. This business, I promised we were going to do one together. The last 7, I did all by myself. It's like, we're going to do this one together. She's a passion type person, so that obviously aligned, Pearce Bespoke, right? But if that's all there was, we wouldn't have gone into the brand. I'm also part of our franchise network, multiple actually, that represents north of 1,000 different franchise brands. To date, I've helped nearly 7,000 entrepreneurs select a franchise brand. So, kind of know what to look at when selecting a brand. And there's a tremendous amount of diligence. The unit economics here are fantastic. The systems are great. But a system is kind of like a vehicle. That's the analogy I want to use. You bought in, you paid a franchise fee, you're paying a tax fee every month, you're paying royalties. You bought in. True? What we own here is not a Toyota. Nothing against Toyotas, you're proud. What we have is a Ferrari. But here's the question we have to ask ourselves, and it's an uncomfortable question. Do you drive it like a Ferrari? Or do you drive it like a Toyota? You drive a Toyota and a Ferrari differently. So even if you've never bought or driven a Ferrari, you can picture yourself inside of it. You're probably driving slightly different than a Toyota can. You're going to take better care of it. Maintenance is going to be more important. You're going to enjoy the heck out of it. So drive it like a Ferrari. Put the effort in. Take care of the maintenance. Enjoy the heck out of it. And it will pay you back. So what I've learned over time is there is a massive difference between operators, owner-operator is a terminology we use around in the franchise space. This is an owner-operator model. It's not a semi-absentee model. It's not an executive model. Out the gate, it can be, but at the gate, it's an owner-operator. You can become an owner by starting with an operator. Anybody want to guess what I mean when I say the difference between an operator and an owner? You want to guess? An operator, you do shit. Who wants to do everything? Literally go to every bidding, do every measurement, take everything back to the client, call them every single time, do every single thing. Who wants to do that all the time? Forever. I don't think any of us do, right? What if you never had to? And your revenue still went up next month as a result. How long does it get there? Nathan, does that work for you yet? Can you disappear and revenue go up next month?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why? Because you built systems. You had a team, you had a panel. He's built the capacity for him to not have to be present. We all can follow that along. So, as I mentioned, even though it was my first exit, 9 days later they flipped it. That thing cost me $2 million. That's a sting. To this day, almost 10 years later, it still hurts. There should be $2 million more in my bank account right now. It stings. But I choose to look at it as tuition. And tuition I can only really fast forward. So my company, the Twin Flamer, we have multiple businesses, one of which is the Pearce Bespoke Franchisee. The biggest chunk of that though is helping the next generation. Because someone helped me a long time ago, it's where I'm at, and I want to help others. And I love the fact that I get the opportunity to discuss that with you all as well.
There it goes.
So there is a difference between grinding / hustle, whichever one you call it, and systemization. And there's a way to take everything at Pearce Bespoke and make it a system. The system functions with minimal maintenance. Hustle requires excessive maintenance. There's a difference. In order to go from hustle to systems, it does require some effort. However, the payoff in the long run is substantial. So here's kind of what that looks like. If you create tasks today that you have to perform and figure out a way you don't have to do them tomorrow, that creates a system. How do you do that? You got to start with like how you do it. Record it, write down, teach it to somebody else, let them do it, coach them, provide follow-up, give it to them again, until the point that they do it the same way you do it, or at least within 80%, and they don't worry about it. And you do that again, and you do that again, and you do that again, until eventually you disappear and everything still moves forward. That's how you go from grind to systems. So within Pearce Bespoke, I ran some numbers. A regular, normal clothier. I'm not talking to unicorns that are in the room over there. I'm not talking to superstars. I'm talking a regular clothier. Once they're trained, if they just follow the system, they should be able to generate $20,000 to $40,000 in revenue if they follow the system. Now layer in the fact that we have a 40 to 60% reorder rate. What does that mean? Next month you should already have $10,000 to $20,000 seeded for you based on prior clients, either reorders or referrals. If it's not happening, there's a system that you're missing. The referrals not occurring, the reorders not follow up correctly. There's a miss. That's how you can close the gap. And then also is how you create recurring revenue behavior. This is not an instinctual recurring revenue model. You can create through behavior patterns. So, who agrees that that is an accurate statement that a clothier should be able to generate $20,000 to $40,000 every single month if they just follow the system? got half the room down. Sweet. Nathan, I think we need to panic. But okay, we're starting. Let's figure out how does that actually work. Joe, how do you get that math? Here's how it works. $1,800 to $3,000 is our average ticket. Look at the FTD, that's the number. And I can tell you in my geographical area, that falls in line. 1,800 to 3 grand is an average ticket. With 15 to 30 active clients a month, that generates between $27,000 and $90,000 a month in revenue. 15 to 30 is across however many closures you have. I'm not talking per closure. If you got 3 closures, that's 10 clients each. Now, humongous number. If you know how much they order, 27 to 90. Then 40 to 60% ordering means you should have 18 to $45,000 seated next month, either through a reorder, a referral, or some combination of the two. That is recurring revenue behavior. Ultimately, to Nathan's point earlier, we should kind of begin with the end in mind. Whatever your end is. You want to sell this one day? Great. What do you want to sell it for? Work backwards. I want to hand it off to my kids. This is a legacy option. Cool. What does that look like? When? When does it make sense financially for them to get over it? Or you know what? I just want this to pay the bills and be my lifestyle income. Cool. Work backwards. How does that work? How do you get there? Ultimately, you have to create systemization. For any of those things to be true. Even a lifestyle income thing. You want a lifestyle. You don't want Pearce Bespoke to be your life. You want it to pay for your life. You can't do that if you're constantly doing everything. So at the end, buyers, strategic buyers, and corporate lifestyle incomes really goes down to 4 things: earn revenue, document systems, owner independence, meaning you can leave and stuff still happens. And finally, a scalable brand. They can work in one territory toward every territory, you just copy and paste. So let's break it down. Like, how do you get 15 to 30 active clients a month? How do you do that? I just launched, Joe. I don't know. I did it in 4 weeks. Here's how we did it. It's 15 prospective, strategized outreach per day. That's it. Strategically reaching out. That could be a networking event, that could be a cold call, that could be a referral call, like whatever. 15 direct outbound reaches a day. You do that, let's say there's 1 closure doing that every single day. That's 75 outbound per week. Let's say out of 75 outbound, you get, I don't know, 3 people to answer the phone. I'm going super conservative. Out of 3 people that answer the phone, you get 1 appointment. Out of 1 appointment, you close the deal. 18 to 3 grand. That also means you should be able to get a reorder and or referral roughly 30 days later when Sue comes back in. Now you create recurrent behavior and just repeat the process, and it scales, it goes, it continues. To the panel's point earlier, you don't stop just because you got 5 appointments this week. They still should be calling 15 a day. Strategically. Because that's how you grow and scale and ultimately pass this on in whatever way, shape, or form you want to. So, ultimately, documentation is the key. But if it stays on the document and nothing happens with it, then there's really not anything that's complete besides a piece of paper. You gotta hand it off to somebody else. So I put all this information into my book. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble if y'all are interested. It's called a 4 Modus Operandi. I don't know if anybody's like a crime buff person, but I am. You may have heard the term MO, watching any of those crime shows. Serial killers and stuff like that. Like their MO is what they do every time. They always show up. They're always wearing a mask. They always use a knife. They always do whatever. That's it. Same as applicable for business. If you do the same thing and it generates results, just keep doing it. If it doesn't, try something else. So it works and then you repeat it. But ultimately you can break it down to 4 that has worked across 427 different businesses, 19 different industries, in 14 countries that I've worked with clients that when it's on, it's worked in every single one. And I know it'll work here, it's already starting to work. So what does that look like? It looks like clarity. Most businesses do not fail because the owner is lazy. They fail because they just don't have clarity. They're trying to do too much or not enough, one or the other. Clarity is about narrowing the focus to one very specific, ferociously important goal. What is the most important thing that I can do right now that impacts my business? And that is all that matters. You work on it, you fix it, you move to the next thing. You work on it, you fix it, you move to the next thing. Once you have accountability, then you have to have documentation. Whatever that thing is, how are you going to fix it? How are you going to transfer ownership to someone else? How are you going to hold them accountable to your stamp? And how do you repeat the process again? So documentation is the next thing that leads you into accountability. And ultimately, if you do all those things, you have the ability to scale. Because if I've done it once, I can do it somewhere else or with someone else. And you can scale quicker, faster, and better than on your own. You can just repeat the process. So, there it goes. Cool. Swear I did that. Okay, value leaks. Where I personally perceive value leaks occur in this business. Again, I'm new, so I don't know this. I'm applying logic. But where I believe we currently have the ability to close the gap in value leakage is with what I would call clothier viewpoint. Nothing against the panels, but those are the unicorns. I'm talking about all the normal clothiers. They look at the first sale. Yeah, I sold it. And they get happy because they just got a big check. And they didn't recognize everything they did to get it and what else they could get from it. The first sale is where the money is. Please correct me if I'm wrong on this. Your second, your third, your fourth order from the next client is way bigger than your first. Is that a fair statement? Well, our clothiers, mine included, look at that first one like, I'm gonna take what we got. No, you're not. You got next 15. How you calling that? So every single morning we get on the phone, we do a similar role play session to what we did in the other room. It's very quick. I call them up. It's like less than 2 minutes. Here's who I am. You're calling me. What is it? Okay, that sucks. Try again. Throw this in. Cool. Who are you calling? Let me know how it goes. Do it again the next day. We do it the next day. We do it the next day. So I do it individually versus a group pattern that Nathan does, but I do the role play because I do believe it works. It forces them into thinking and strategizing and learning from their behaviors and themselves. The clothier calculator. Who's ever used this before? Besides me. Who else? We got a couple of people. What's on? Shout it out.
I'm sorry.
What's on the clothier business calculator for somebody who hasn't heard that?
What's on there? Just,
Yeah.
It's kind of their goal. It defines the goals. And then tells them how to reach them.
Love it. Defines your goals, tells them how to get there. 100% agree with that statement. When it's in there, it gives you some time box initiatives to help clarify their goals, tell them what behavior is going to drive that result. And then you can hold them accountable. Hey, we had this conversation a few months ago. You wanted to make $100,000 this year. We determined that you need to sell 12 suits a month in order for that to accomplish. You haven't sold any yet. What's going on with the behavior that drives that result? Let's talk about that. Because if I work focused on the behavior, that'll get you the result. This is an activity-driven business. No activity means no result. Great activity means great result. Average activity means average result. It quite literally is equal to equal. Focus on the behavior and the activities, you'll get the expected outcome. CRM. I love CRM. This particular CRM was one of the best in the business. I have used multiple ones. The way that you can automated messaging follow-up, it's all fantastic. And we have a partner to help us do that. But if we just hope that our clothiers do it, they're probably not. So we have to do what I would call a hygiene check. If it's not in the CRM, it does not exist. I say that to my clothiers almost every single day. Who'd you call? Well, I called so-and-so. How'd it go? This, that, and the other. I don't see it in the CRM. That call didn't exist. It didn't happen. Tell me again, who'd you call? That's in the CRM. Because that's the only way I know who they called and what the result was, and it gives us the capacity to scale and forecast whether or not that person should order, when I should ask for a referral, when they should reorder. All of those things, it only begins, it's in the CRM. If it's not there, it doesn't exist. So that's the first one, outbound messaging. Outbound is oxygen. If they live on planet Earth without oxygen? Anybody? Okay, you cannot live in this business without oxygen. It will not happen, you will suffocate. How far is oxygen here? 15 a day, that's the minimum expectation. Followers are obviously needed. Your networking events, follow up. You have your order, follow up. Somebody gave you a review, even a good one, follow up. Follow up is how you get to the next thing. That's how you create behavior with your customers and your clients, ultimately the result they're looking for. In my opinion at least, this is my opinion, I bet you Nathan disagrees with me. I believe the truck show game is the most underutilized tool in our toolkit. I use tool very graciously because technically we cannot provide tools to 1099 contractors against the law. So I'm just calling it a tool, but please don't say that word to your 1099 contractors. But I believe trunk shows are the way in which you drive this business, in my personal opinion. Only if you do it a specific way. So I'm going to tell you how we do it. It may work for you, it may not. So far, it's worked exceptionally well for us. First and foremost, when we hire a clothier, roughly 2 weeks to go through training. During that process, I'm talking to them 3 times a week. During every single one of those touch points, I am bringing up the fact of what their expectation is post-training. And that is one, you gotta, all right tonight, you gotta hurry, you gotta make me, you gotta put it in the system. So I can check box, you know how to do it. The next one is you're going to do a friends and family truck show at our house. Within 2 weeks of completing training, you need to have 7 people or more show up. If not, we're going to have a conversation. If you know about this 2 weeks in advance and then I give you 4 weeks after that, you got 30 days to figure out how to get 7 people in my house. And it is not about selling anything. It is about them being on posts and videos, measuring something over and over with a bickering background, nice ambiance, and then we can create media assets for them to be able to leverage as they go to these networking events. And then from that point forward, they have to go once per quarter somewhere else. I don't care where. Every quarter, put it on the calendar. I want to know the next year when 4 truck shows occur. Because if they're random, and just whenever they feel like it, your revenue is written. If it's on the calendar, they know it's coming up in 45 days, they really got to put people there, otherwise Joe's going to feed them up. They're probably going to get people there. Likely they're going to convert if they do it well, and we're there to support them to do that. But it creates a cadence in which revenue occurs. And then if we follow it correctly, it creates the ability for it to scale. So what does that look like? You do a trunk show, there's 5 people are there, you sell a suit. The other 4 people, you have 4 people to follow for the next 3 months. Come back again next time. Do you know anybody else that might want a suit that could come with it? You got to see this one? Who else can I reach out to in your network? Your referrals then become the next trunk show. Your referrals from that become the next trunk show. If it's random, revenue's random. If it's planned, revenue's planned. Planned revenue. Alright. Next piece is the calendar. Like, we block off our clothier's calendars and I put them tentative because I cannot tell a 1099 contractor what to do, how many hours to work. I can't do that. I can give you suggestions of here's when you should be calling people. Here's when you should be on LinkedIn. Here's when you should be networking at an event. Here's when you should be doing follow-ups. You don't have to do it, but I'm giving them suggestions, and all I can tell them is it worked for so-and-so, maybe try it. They get to decipher, they get to decide if they want to or not, but it yields the result if they want to. Calendar is key in terms of engagement. CRM mastery, I already said. The second one is digital presence. Clothier gets a booking, they're probably going to Google at least your company, if not Pearce, Bespoke, and whoever that clothier is. So like, check it out. What's your Google review look like? What's your website look like? What's their page look like? Because that will compress trust. They'll either trust them faster or trust them less. One of the two will happen. And they trust them more, you have a higher likelihood of closing that deal. Accelerate trust. By engineering, digital presence is aligned with the brand presence that you're wanting to market. Are you the suiting option in your market or a suiting option in your market? Difference. And digital is where it starts. The next thing is we track and create a customer journey map. So I want to know everything about a potential client, from the first time we call, to when we have a measurement fitting, to when we order, to when we reach out to them again, to when we request a referral, to when we request a review, to when we invite to the next truck show. I want to know what that mapping looks like. That allows me the capacity and capability to determine lifetime customer value. And then, based on that, I can decipher, do I want to tap into that particular individual, offer merch pursuit because I read X, Y, Z, because their journey mapping tells me 12 months from now they'll probably spend $12,000 with me, I'll give away $1,000 next month. If I want a suit based on their journey mapping, I'm probably not giving them a suit, but I have the ability to forecast with data points. So creating a customer journey mapping is exceptionally important. And this is the final, kind of most important thing, in my opinion. I've worked with multiple businesses that I've owned where we had a 1099 contractor model. All the owners that I've worked with that are in models similar to that, they look at 1099 people as expendable. To a degree, that's true. But hiring equals scaling, in my opinion. If you hire one rock star clothier, it changes your business instantly. So invest in recruiting, invest in hiring, and don't stop there. Invest in onboarding. How do we set them up for success? I hire you today. You are getting on a call with me for 3 minutes. We're going to talk about what you're going to learn in 2 weeks, what your expectations are. I'm going to commit to them. You'll be able to achieve those things. And we're going to have 3 times a week touch bases to ensure you're on track. Because if you're not on track, how will you know? Goal to get you to the end to be done, but if somewhere along the pathway there you're not, I have the ability to say, next, so do you want to adjust? Do you want me to adjust for you? Your choice. But this is the expectation. So we do several things that in my opinion are different. First and foremost, we utilize a recording platform called My Interview. It's absolutely free. If you Google Pearce Bespoke, you can put in prompts and questions. It's spoon type recording. They have 2 to 3 minutes to answer a question. You get the recording at the end, and it actually uses AI to rate it for you based on everybody else's already applied to it. So they'll be able to tell you, this one's 4 out of 5 stars, this one's 3 out of 5, and you can go watch the recordings and decide whether or not you want to call it. We had 114 people apply to one role. I'm not reading through 114 resumes. I don't have time. The AI told me which 7 people I should reach out to. I had 7 interviews. Of the 7, I picked 2. And it happened in less than 24 hours. Which utilized tech, especially free tech. It's fantastic. I'll send that out if anybody's interested. But then the onboarding plan is the next piece. How can you set them up for success? What's their first 2 weeks look like? What's that 30-day window look like? What's the 60 and 90-day window look like for them from an engagement perspective? I think I mentioned it in the other room, but I don't want to say require, because I'm not allowed to require anything from a contractor, but I highly encourage that they are involved in the chamber of B&I. You'll need to pay for it if you put forth the effort. So how that works is, go to a chamber event, it's free. At least twice. In most chambers you can go twice. Take a picture of this client. Ask them to do a selfie. Hey, I'm new, if you mind, take a picture. Send me a picture. After you've done that 3 times, I'll pay the chamber membership. Same thing with B&I. You prove to me you put forth the effort, I'll prove to you that I'll back you up with finance. But you gotta prove it first. By doing all those things, chances are at least improved that they're going to continue that behavior and generate the result that you're looking for, that they're looking for, and we all get. So in the end, to shift from an operator to an owner, systemization, hand it off to somebody else, hold them accountable, and figure out how you do it again. And just keep going until you can wake up one day and it does it for you, and you don't have to do anything else. That's how we created a platform company that private equity acquired, because I literally looked at a patch of grass in my backyard and went, that looks like shit. How do I fix it? How do I make a business off of that? How do I take the next blade of grass and determine exactly how much margin do I need to create based on labor, machine usage, fuel consumption, all of it. Generated a model, scaled it over and over again until he went, shit, I mean it. Joe, how did you? We want to do it in these 14 other industries. Will it work? Yeah, it will. It's like you do. You just have to figure it out. This is how you figure it out for your business. So I'll just send this out. Please feel free to utilize it or leverage it. If you have questions, just let me know. But ultimately, it really boils down to one of four things. And myself included, we're all weakest and strongest in one of these four. Whether it's recurring revenue, like your revenue is revenue, it happens, but it doesn't happen consistently. Okay, that's your weakest thing. Maybe documentation. I'm not talking about the documentation that the NSD provides. Documentation for your team that is different and excels beyond the brand. Differentiate yourself. Take what they have and amplify it. What are those things? Maybe that's an option for you. Owner independence. If you disappear for the next 30 days, does your revenue continue to occur? Does it go up? Does it stay the same? If it's not up, then you're owner dependent. It requires you to be there. If you're owner independent, I can disappear. My revenue still happens. We made a sale yesterday. I didn't even know. So I put sellable. Because that clothier is no longer dependent on one lead to generate revenue. Or is it a scalable brand? We have more than one territory. I've proven in one territory, we won't do it on the second and the third, and now we've done the three. So I have to figure out how to do it once. And once I figure out how to do it once, then I can copy and paste it across. But our current opportunity is in scalability. That's where our weakest link is. Where's yours? And here's how to fix it. Pick one, figure out how to fix it, and focus on it for the next 90 days. How to do it, who you can train, do you need maybe Steve to help you out, do you need me to help you out? How do you fix it? What does right look like? Work backwards, and then 90 days from now, pick the next one that you're no longer good at, and do it again. And then do it again. There's 4 years, you do it quarterly, and a year from now you will have worked on and or improved all 4 areas. The chances are pretty good your business will be better, it'll be worth more, you have options at that point. You want to continue to scale, you want to sell it, you want to hand off to your kids, like you have choices. You can choose whatever pathway works best for you. So, I'm going to leave you with this. Pearce Bespoke, in my opinion, based on the trajectory where they're at, and that's based sincerely, is the best franchise brand growth to this point. In terms of the tools that they provide to us, the support that they give to us, and most importantly, the model that is there. This is a sexy brand, y'all. This is fun. It's interesting. It's exciting. It's growth. But all of that means nothing without systems and support, and we got that. I know 700 brands that have more franchise locations open today with less systems than we have here at Bespoke. And a less sexy model to stop. We have something fantastic. It's up to us to make it legendary. So I'm going to give you the 3 tools that I use consistently with my clients. No, it's free. Like, y'all just use it. If you want to throw it away, throw it away. If you want help, ask me. I'll be happy to help you. But it's a $2 million mistake calculator. It takes all of the applications of how I missed out on $2 million that first time around. So you can apply it to your brand and get information where can you close the gap. Helps you identify the gap in order to know what it is through gap audit. And finally, a 90 days sprint playbook. So you can put implementation into action and action into creation value. So I think here is, I sincerely hope something of this presentation stuck with you. Because there was a time and a place almost 17 years to the day that someone else did this and stood up in front of me and said some stuff. I couldn't tell you everything he said. I don't remember. I do remember one thing they said. And that was this. They said, whatever you choose to do over the next 90 days will determine how happy your future self is. I don't remember anything else they said. I remember that 17 years later. So I'm going to say it to you. Your future self will be happiest if you choose to apply yourself in this business over the next 90 days to make it as great as you possibly can be. I'm here to help support you in that process in any way I can, and I know Nathan and his team are as well. So with that, Let's make the next 90 days count. Now let's build a brand. Kill some.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I don't want to follow that. because we should just end on that. Boom, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Bonus operandi, the way you operate. Important. So I can stand up here, AJ can stand up here and tell you that this is an awesome opportunity, you gotta do it. And when Joe said, listen, I love your brand and I want to do it, first it resonated with me very powerfully for two reasons. He sells franchises. He looks at multiple, and he's told you this. So when he came and said, I think this is an awesome brand, it reminded me that I thought this was an awesome brand. So thank you. I never believed it, but it was lovely to hear from you. And then, that to me was awesome. And then you freaking kicked the door again and made it even more awesome. When did you start? Yeah.
We bought in September.
Okay.
A week later, launched until January.
Okay. And what were your numbers in the last month?
87,927.
Sorry? What was that?
$87,926.
87. I'm going to stay with 87, okay? Fucking overachiever. I swear. But, so the icing on the cake, the unbelievable thing is, he's not preaching. He's walking the walk. I can hear and preach. I preach because I haven't done it yet. I've done it in other brands that I've done I haven't done it yet. He's not preaching. He's done it. So thank you, Joe. I want to give you another round, please.